there's not a whole lot second guessing. I would say. I mean, certainly from my standpoint, there's just not much else you can do about it. So there's really not been any post processing of like what you could do different because I felt like I did exactly what the format asked me to do and still wasn't right.
What do you and Coach and Gail do to debrief when, to your point, there wasn't really another option anyway? Like, how do you guys debrief that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably more kind of yeah. I don't know how they'll do that. But certainly, the takeaways from JGR need to be that they did a really good job preparing me really fast car and giving me all the tools I needed to succeed. So, I've been there in other years past where just not been fast enough or good enough, and this was just a little different than that.
Denny, you told
Larson
me
said,
going into it, you knew coming to Phoenix, you had taken every aspect of preparation to make sure that no one could say, hey, it was you. And when you look at what happened on Sunday, four times out of five, four tires is the right call. You're able to come up the way Heim did. What made that race different?
Then Friday, um, I think a couple things. Obviously, competition is one of the big factors. Um, the car versus the trucks makes it a little bit different, and it just happened to be there were so many cars that stayed out that that kind of definitely changed the game. So just circumstances, talent level, and cars is the only thing that was different. But obviously, the result is a ton different.
Your girls were your biggest cheerleaders coming into the race. They were cheering Denny Hamlin. I mean, it was like it was so cute. But then afterwards, they came up to you and were equally crushed. How did you console your girls?
Yeah, I mean, just trying to teach them the life lessons that life's not fair. It's not things don't always happen, the way they're supposed to. But yeah, it's just especially for the older one, just trying to justify to her, the outcome was difficult, and still hours later, it was more trying to calm her down than anything.
did you, Larson said that you came to his party. I was curious, why'd you go and
Yeah.
what was it like to stop by?
Well, just pay my respects. I would hope that he would have done that for me. I think he would have. He's been a great friend of mine. I hate for him that kind of the attention is shifted a little bit away from him and his championship because he's definitely there's a difference in deserving and should have been, right? I think that there's not one person that should ever question his deservingness of being a champion. Um, that's what I don't like to see. But I mean, he's a great friend of mine, and it wasn't me. I was definitely happy for him, but I was just trying to do the right thing as a friend, and regardless of my feelings and emotions, that evening it was important for me to go show him support.
How long did you stay?
Not long, not long. It's it won't be as agonizing as having to sit through 2 hours of today, tonight. Um, it's we're you can say we're the only sport that blank lots of things, but having to make the losers sit there and celebrate the winners is just one of those extra things that we have to do in our sport that's painful.
Is there any time where you felt this type of pain? Like, can you compare it? I
No,
mean,
this cut is
you
deep.
can't compare to like 2010 or
No way,
anything. Yeah.
not close. This one's deep.
How long, Jenny, will you allow yourself to sit in these feelings instead of telling yourself to get over it?
I don't know, as long as I have to. I think where I feel like I've gotten better with age is just being able to move on to the next thing. But yeah, I just can't like I say, in the moment, I can't imagine having to go through the process I went through to prepare for that race, doing it all over again. I don't just see how there's any way.
So you'll embrace letting yourself feel however long it
Yeah,
takes.
as long as it takes, for certain.
Can
Well, I
you
mean,
imagine any other sport where Larson has mixed emotions about winning the championship? William Byron felt bad for you that he had a flat tire and took away your championship. Can you think of another sport where competition would be crushed for you?
Yes and no. I think that we're all just so close because we play the same team. We play the same opposition each and every week. So I think we get to know each other personally, and that probably plays into the factor of the person itself, and feeling empathy for your competitor because you know them so well.
There's a concern on social media after commentating that you might pull up Carl. Will you come back and race next year?
I mean, I plan to. I have a contract too, but there's at this point there's just absolutely no way that I would even. I don't even think about race car right now. It just yeah, I'm gonna need some time on this one.
but you'll be able to. I mean, I guess is 3 months enough time? Like it's February 4, whenever the race
Well,
is. Enough
yeah.
time.
I mean, the good news is the banquet's 2 weeks earlier this week, so the off season is a little bit longer. But I'll get over it. Just it's gonna take a minute.
What will you do to unwind? I mean, what are you going to do in the next couple of months?
Yeah, I tried yesterday. Sleeping's not been good since Sunday. I don't know. Feel as though so much is off my plate right now because I do spend so much time working on my craft and stuff, and specifically Phoenix. Like I changed my driving style. I went into there saying this is what I think I need to do, and I'm gonna just change my habits for this particular racetrack. And and so I feel like, gosh, it just there's so much freed up time now, where that was taking up so much time, and so yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I try to spend more time with the kids, give them a little bit more FaceTime. That's for sure.
But we
Was
know what
that was the change that you made? Was that result of running Bells and Briscoe Sims?
Yeah, it's studying who I think is been the best at that historically at that track, and then obviously going in with that approach, and then telling my team what 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 aisles to go down to give me what I need. And so that process started obviously weeks ago, and to get it, it was difficult for my end, completely changing how I typically approach racetracks, but I thought that this was going to be the best way.
And obviously it worked.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It certainly was the best result I had at Phoenix in quite some time.
Denny, our parents always help us through difficult times, and you're in a situation where you're someone's son, but you're also a parent. So, how have your parents helped you through this difficult time, and what have you learned from them that's helping you help your daughters through this difficult time?
Yeah, I think it's probably my family's level emotions. Like, when I walk in the bus, and I see my mom and I give her a hug for the first time, like right after, she's just, it was essentially kind of the same reaction that I had in my post race, right? I think she was probably in shock as well. But she was just like, this wasn't meant to be, And so I think that they're really, I think if they have strong emotions one way or another, that probably can funnel into me. But they do a good job of being pretty level. And, again, my dad, thought I was a champion well before, well before this weekend. So I don't think his opinion changed much.
But how did they help? How did their reaction help you help your
Yeah,
daughters?
it was because it's a great question. Is because once I saw my mom and I talked to my dad, I then engaged with my kids. Like I saw them, I saw them in the moment on the golf cart, but then it was a little extended period of time. So then when I saw him and Taylor's still raising hell about, you know, everything that shouldn't have happened, it was just I was able to model myself after them and say, they didn't let it bother them too much. So I should try to, keep that same level of emotion for my kids.
Denny, have you gone on social media or seen the outpouring directed toward you? How aware are you of the feelings of NASCAR Nation toward you at this time?
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at it, and obviously, it's more pain. I look at it for a little bit, and then I just stop because it does get into my feelings a little bit. But um, I, I love our fan base. I mean, I think that they certainly have been very, very supportive of me over the last, really few weeks, and my fans for quite some time. But yeah, it's I'm a bit torn as well because I also my friend won the championship, and it's not being talked about that much. But I think that sometimes people have a tipping point, right? And certainly was it that in my mind I did exactly what the playoffs asked me to do. Um, I can't I can't remember. I think the first time, and no disrespect to them, I don't think I saw them until the white flag lap. I can't remember a lap where he was ahead of me at any point of the race. Um, and then I remember seeing him for the very first time right after we took the white and the dog leg. When I went down, I looked up, and because they told me on the backstretch with 2 to go, the 5 is pinned on the outside. I thought he was one of the cars I was clearing in 3 and 4. So when I saw him, I knew then that it was over. So I had only about a half a lap to 3/4 of a lap to say, "Oh my God, he's going to win." And so, I think that's where the shock came from. Is just doing all the right things, and even like, you know, the pit road metric. Like I felt like I did my job everywhere, and then even beat everyone for most of the, if not all the scheduled distance. But it's just we went longer, and unfortunately on that last lap, I saw my fate right in front of me.
What do you say about the conspiracy theorists that are out there that are questioning because of the lawsuit? Somebody came up to us last night at dinner and they said, "Are you seeing what's on the internet?" And I'm like, "It's bullshit." But I mean, how do you push
About
away the,
what part?
that the caution just came
No,
out
they
willy
yeah,
nilly?
no, they had to. The Byron was in the wall. You saw. I think if you want to gripe about a caution, maybe the Yaley caution where I don't think he hit anything. But no, they made the right call there. It just was crappy that it was 40 seconds too early in my. Um, but I no, I don't think that's a questionable caution by any means.
Are you going through your head just how? Because I think when Jeff asked about the fans certainly look at it and say, "Gosh, a guy who's tried for 20 years to come this close and not get it is it's heartbreaking to see it, even if they don't don't like you." Just how do you kind of comprehend the fact that you worked so hard for it to come down to that?
Yeah, I just you guys have been, a lot of you that are standing around here were here for most of those 20, if not all of them. And so you've seen me lose this in so many different ways, right? From the mechanical failures to just crazy things. But, I don't know. This one just adds to the list. And so, um, regardless, like you can use, and I can, that like nothing changed the way I felt about myself at the end of that race. And to use Carl Edwards' quote, like I knew what it was like to be a champion. I I felt it. With 5 to go, I knew it was over. And so I don't have the trophy, but I knew that was probably the first time that I was forced to perform a certain way under this format, and I did it. And there's nothing else I possibly could have done to change the outcome.
In a regular off season, when is typically the time for you to lock back in and be a race car driver?
It's going to be a minute. I mean, I just
But ordinarily,
ordinarily, I'm usually probably itching by late December, right around Christmas time. So I would think this is probably going to be about the same. When I have to go do something, I will.
When he asked you what are you doing in the off season, like, well, we kind of know what you might be doing for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, well, how does that potential coming to go through the trial impact, either you trying to get over this or trying to get ready for next year?
Yeah, they are separate, and I got asked that by someone. It doesn't change my feelings on obviously the lawsuit or anything like that. It's that they are two separate things. The one is I'm a car owner. I have no emotions and feelings on that side. As a driver, I certainly do right in this moment, but I don't let it bias or change my emotions. The result on Sunday doesn't change any of my emotions or bias to the lawsuit stuff.
I'm going to ask you as well, when you were talking about the decision to go for 4 tires, are the tires, is the tread the same in Cup and Truck? Like that's I was trying to figure out why so much reliance on what happened in the truck race would dictate a decision.
I don't know that it did. I don't know. Did it?
It sounded like that. It's at least the theme was, if you were thinking about taking 2 and you saw the truck race, it looked like 4 was the way to go. At least that was kind of the common chatter after the race, right? I don't know whether
I don't know. It's just that the competition is so different. The truck guys are so inexperienced. I mean, I watch them as a Cup driver, and I see them on restarts, and I'm like, oh, if there was a Cup driver in the field, they would blow right by these guys because they just, they're figuring themselves out. They're really young, and Corey is just far mature beyond his age and his craft. So even still, it was close in the trucks, right? So I think if you would have just blind told us that there was going to be 9, 10 cars on not 4 tires, we would have changed our strategy. There's just no way Chris Gale was going to say, okay, I'll start 9th and I got faith. There's no way. I just didn't think, and we didn't think that many, especially you got to understand at the end of the Phoenix race, everyone knows that there's a battle going on amongst these 4. We had no idea that many people were going to go in there and say, all right, I'll put myself in the middle of the championship 4. And so I think maybe some of the thought process too is that there's not going to be too many crazy strategies or different strategies here because probably no one wants to be part of the ending story. But it just worked out the way it did.